Back to the shores of the St. Johns River here in beautiful Putnam County, Palatka, Florida, a site familiar with so many Bassmaster fans. We've been here many times before, but every single time we come here, it seems to show up different. But the one thing that is showing out this week and didn't show out in pre-fish is the sunshine. We have got a remarkably sunny day, and up top the leaderboards, John Crews and Bob Downey, 1 and 2 from day one. They had that big, giant day, and that's the tale with the Florida tournament. You can get that big day, but you got to back it up. You got to stay consistent in this event. And that is a flock of seagulls. I have not said the flock of seagulls for a number of years, but I miss a flock of seagulls, and there it is right there. And that's where we are, in North Florida on the St. Johns River, and a great playing field, and Rodman playing in a big, big way this week. But a guy that always plays in a big way is my co-host here, Davey Hyde, former Bassmaster Classic champion, 2-time Angler of the Year, and just about anything else you can think of. He's pretty much accomplished it. Davey, this fishery, what are you feeling when you watch, competing in Florida has to be so frustrating, because even a guy like John Crews this morning, when I talked to him, he's like, I think I can catch fish, but I have no idea whether it'll be 6 pounds or 28 pounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day when you go fishing here in Florida, you hope to catch that big bass, but you don't know if it's going to happen or not. It's interesting, yesterday John Crews and Bob Downey were saying, man, I don't know if I can catch anywhere near what I caught yesterday. I just think I was very fortunate, very blessed. But sometimes I think they're just being humble, and they know that they're going to get bites. And you go to a place like Rodman Reservoir, get a lot of bites, surely you're going to hook up with 1 or 2 of those bigger fish. Just got to put them in the boat like they did yesterday.
Well, for those of you that have been following the action all day long, let's jump into our Toyota midday report and see what's been happening on the water here on day number 2. Stop number 1 of the Bassmaster Elite Series. And let's jump into our Toyota midday report with a guy that I'm going to say, before I even met him, he was one of my favorites. Matty Wong delivered on day number 1, and you can see this guy, he's going to be popular.
Yeah, you're a good judge of people, no doubt about it. I was able to meet and talk with Matty yesterday for the first time. Very positive, very, very enjoyable to talk with. I can't emphasize enough how he kept saying, I don't want to think negative things. I don't want to go to my best area early in the morning because I don't think I can catch him then, and I'll have a negative attitude. Just a real joy, and we're going to see a lot of him, I'm sure.
Attitude is everything on this tour, and here's a guy who's won an Elite Series event before, Stetson Blaylock.
Yeah, Stetson had a good start yesterday. A little slower for him today, but he's in an area where there's lots of fish, and you try to narrow down, and there's so many big flat areas, kind of like in the Back City Springs, where a lot of these fish have been caught yesterday and so far today. But what Stetson's doing in this canal, he's just keeping it simple, keeping a boat close to the shoreline, fishing that 1 to about 3 or 4 feet of water with soft plastics and some hard baits. I think he's going to be in contention throughout the week. It just should be very consistent where he's at. I'm surprised there's not more angler fishing there.
Is managing fish is important here, or do these guys have fish moving with them, or do you just got to get all you can?
Yeah, I think, and we heard some anglers talk about managing those fish yesterday, but I think you just got to get all you can because everything changes so much. Bill Lowen, I was out on the water just about an hour ago and was around Bill Lowen. He's fishing real close here to take off, maximizing his 8 hours of the day, and I think a very, very good choice. You see people make the long runs. There's people going all the way to Astor. You've got 100 miles, a little over 100 miles of river here in Rodman Reservoir to fish. I've never seen anybody win or really be in contention staying close, but maybe this would be the year for Bill Lowen.
Second biggest bag of the tournament was weighed in by this guy, old Bob Downey. And, this guy, he's been on the tour for a few years here, and a big day yesterday.
Just so fun to say old Bob Downey, isn't it? Yeah, Bob Downey had a great day yesterday. Had a little technical problems, I guess we could call it. He only fished 2 hours and caught this big stringer, but the way he's fishing and where he's fishing, what I saw yesterday, 2 of those fish being post-spawn, I think he's going to have to rely on more of those post-spawn type fish moving out to that 5 and 6 feet of water that he's fishing, because a lot of those fish that were set up there pre-spawn, I think, are going to be moving up this afternoon and tomorrow.
Our leader, John Crews, an incredible day yesterday.
Yeah, he had obviously a great day, a lot better day. He's one of those anglers that really act surprised that he had the weight that he had. But the good thing, when I talked to John yesterday afternoon, he's not just fishing like one rock pile or one little set of standing timber or stump. He said he covered about a mile and a half. He's just fishing. He's using his electronics, the forward-facing sonar a lot. He's got a 1-2 punch with a jerk bait and then a drop shot, soft plastic bait. So really got a good plan going, but it's just one of those deals. He could catch 12 or 15 fish a day and not have those big ones like he did yesterday. Hopefully he will, though.
John Cruz, we talked about how important attitude is, and he had something a little extra with him. We're live with him right now, but on day one, he had the exact same marshal he had just a few years ago when he caught an 11-pounder here. Then he gets him yesterday, catches 28 pounds. He's trying to negotiate a deal to travel with him full time.
Call him a super marshal, no doubt.
Didn't feel like a big guy, felt like a little guy. But that's bigger than one of them I got. Yeah. Bigger than one of them I got. I'll have to start keeping score here. $177. We're just gonna get this out of the way right now. Come here, buddy. Come here.
We see a lot of different culling systems. I think that's the first time I've seen an angler write down his weight to what he's culling and what the next fish should cull. Certainly a good idea because you don't want to make a mistake and it could cost you a lot of money here the way John Cruz is catching these fish. Looks like he's going to definitely be in contention to win this tournament. The numbers he's caught today, even though he hasn't caught those bigger ones.
But just watching him now, that's the tale of a Florida tournament. I mean, you see a lot of times to try and stay on top.
Yeah.
1-2-1. He did beat up Mr. Red.
In Florida a lot of years. There are days when you just need
Mr. Red going back. All right, so now we know what we got to get.
I mean, it's really shocking this time around.
It was interesting because when you see that, you say it's Florida. It bites everyone. But what was so interesting yesterday, we had a camera with Brian New, and he said it's the most predictable place he's ever fished. Once he figured out Florida, it's very predictable. We'll see. I mean, he's obviously, you can't argue with what he did yesterday, and then he won here last year. But I've never heard anyone say that Florida is the most predictable state he's ever fished in.
Florida and predictable never, ever go together. I mean, this is the place where the tournament, generally in tournaments, I mean, you'll see going into the final days that confidence builds in anglers. And in Florida, I mean, they get confident, but they also know that you can't be in control of your own destiny because literally 2 right hook sets by the guy who's 10 spots behind you, and he's ahead of you.
Yeah, John Cruz and Bob Downey both told me, and they were not joking, I don't know if I can catch 5 keepers tomorrow. I mean, that's just the way Florida is. And even though you catch 27 or 28 pounds, you know that it could bite you the next day, only catch 12 and 13-inch fish. Do the exact same thing in the same areas, and they just all, the big ones swim away, it seems, sometimes.
Obviously, lots of changing conditions here this week. Weather coming in tomorrow, you know, here, and it's going to change a bit. And it kind of shocked me to hear people like Scott Canterbury say, man, I think it'll make it better.
Yeah, I think, you know, these slick conditions are not what you typically want unless you're sight fishing, and we haven't talked to anyone or haven't seen anyone doing that here this year, which is very unusual. Even in the springs, you would think there'd be some guys sight fishing, because I'm sure there's some on the bed there. But these are not the conditions you want to just be fishing if you're not sight fishing in Florida. And to see the weights that we saw yesterday, you know, I hope it does get good, because, you know, 27, 28 pounds with, you know, and yesterday there was ice everywhere. You know, it was 32, 33 degrees here yesterday morning.
One of the toughest things to deal with is the mental game and what's going through your mind. And John Cruz, our tournament leader,
Are you ready?
is dealing with that
Right, so we're,
now. All of these guys dealing
just
with that. But the thing to remember is also
call,
the afternoon,
will.
you know?
We got us about a half pound or so increase. Still, I think we got probably less than 10 pounds, maybe 10 pounds. Got one good fish, one okay fish, and then and 3 under 2 pounds. I gotta work on those 3, get those out of the bag. That's my focus right now. I feel like that, you know, keep dinking and dunking around here. Hopefully we'll catch a couple more of those 4-pounders. But you know, honestly, I'm a little tempted to run back down to the river and, you know, fish out the rest of the day and see kind of what happens down there. But if nothing else, I think I might wait about another hour, fish some stuff on the way back to the lock, and then probably go back at 1. And then go back at 1, I'll be down there at 1:15. I'll still have three full hours of fishing on the river to see if we can make something happen. I got 3 bites yesterday in about an hour, once I kind of figured out what was going on down there, you know, or at least 1 bite that was going on down there. So I'm gonna definitely go try to expand on that. I think 3 hours will be good for it. Try some other stuff on the way back, and hopefully we'll be able to get at least 3 more quality bites, and I think we'll be looking good.
So Cruz still sounds pretty confident. And I mean, when you work out, that's the thing too. When you weigh in 28 pounds, you see how quick it can happen.
Dang, are you serious? Oh my gosh. What am I doing wrong? I ain't doing nothing wrong, you know? Unbelievable. What is that, 3 bites? Wow.
Ouch.
Oh my goodness, man.
So I was out just earlier watching Bill Lowen, and sitting down in the river, you know, a couple hundred yards from him, fishing, you know, shallower water like he's doing here. Water temperature was 59 degrees, and, you know, we've talked about fish moving up today, this afternoon, and tomorrow. Seeing that, it tells me, you know, he's not going to miss 3 fish flipping. You know, he knows what he's doing. That tells me there's some fish that have moved up and then they're setting up on the bed.
That ain't what I've been getting bit by, you know? That is not what I've been getting bit by. I mean, the ones I've been bowing the rod up on been big ones. Come on. You just hurry up.
How come those ones always get it, Davey?
Those males are a little dumber.
I can attest.
Yes.
Come on, fish.
They're more protective of the bed oftentimes, more times than not.
I mean, it is amazing when you look at underwater footage and you see how often
they don't ever come off, you know?
How often a fish pushes a bait or just doesn't even try to bite. It just hits it with its tail, and it feels like a bite to you.
Yep. Or if they do actually inhale it and they're just trying to kill it or get it away from them, how quickly they can have that bait in their mouth and then blow it out just at a snap of a finger. You can't set the hook that fast. Here's something I would do, and I'm sure Bill is. You catch a little fish like that this time of the year in Florida, you need to pitch right back there several times, because it could certainly be with that little male, it could be a 7 or 8 pound female sitting right there.
An overachiever.
Yes.
4-box Cruz, Frazier, Lowen, and Wong. Matty Wong, like on stage yesterday, was literally vibrating, standing next to me, so excited. And when you think of how much his life has changed, he had a black and white fish finder on his boat. You know, one tiny graph. He couldn't even tell me how old it was, and everything that's happened for him just with one win at the Bass Nation National Championship. And it was kind of cool, because right after him weighed in Caleb, and I'm like, this is a prime example of how incredible that Bass Nation program is.
It really is. He told me yesterday afternoon about the boat, like a 20-couple-year-old boat. He said the boat was like 2 years younger than him, that he had qualified and you know, qualified for the elites and made it all the way to here with that older boat and the electronics. You know, he said he could tell the depth and the water temperature, and that's all. And he said he started getting really spun out about trying to come compete and not having all that, you know, fancy equipment, modern electronics, you know. And he said one of his fishing buddies, one of his friends, says, hey, you got this far without that stuff. You can, you know, now once he's in the elites, obviously he's got a new rig and all that stuff. But he said, you should feel good because you've made it here with your instincts and with your just natural ability.
That is one of the most important things, and I think it's becoming more obvious to all of us. You know, all the talk about forward-facing sonar, and it is incredible. It's changing tournaments. It's changing the way it's changing the way it looks. You know, you're watching these guys fish. That's not the way a Florida tournament ever looked. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing year after year, the biggest thing with that is knowing when to turn it off and just be an angler and fish on instinct.
Yeah, and making those decisions, just like John Cruz, hearing him talk about leaving the area where he caught them so good yesterday to fish somewhere else for the final 3 hours, making those decisions, just using your gut and your instincts to know when to stay and when to leave. And that's, you know, no electronics, no fast boat, no anything. That's just, you know, gut instincts that you get only from being on the water. But we all want the latest and the greatest to compete at the highest level, no doubt about it. But there's always going to be a factor there that you need to have substantial time on the water. The earlier in life you can get it, the better off you are, in my opinion.
Takumi talked about it a little bit on live. I heard him yesterday, and also said it on stage. And I think we're seeing how the fish are adapting to that technology. People don't give fish enough credit. You know, oh, they're going to catch all the fish in the lake. The fish are starting to move away from anglers. You know, Seth Feider said it to me 2 years ago. He said, I think in a few years it's going to be a casting contest. You know what I mean? And if you look at other electronics in the past, that's exactly what happened on the Great Lakes. You used to be able to catch every fish below the boat. And now, you know, you got to be away from them. You might see them and move away. And the same thing is going to happen with this.
Yes. I talked to Taku this morning, and he told me that he was seeing a lot of fish that he couldn't catch. And, you know, he's got a few finesse techniques up his sleeve.
He surely does. And finesse not something you're used to hearing with Florida, but these changing conditions, and our anglers are going to have to change some things here today, because it has been kind of slow, but that doesn't matter. If you look at our leaderboard from yesterday, the afternoon is prime time here in sunny Florida, and the sunshine is out today, and they're going to catch them this afternoon. That's my prediction at the AFCO Bassmaster Elite at the St. Johns River. Stop one of the 2022 Elite Series.